Hello and welcome to a video on how to use the Pro Ledger bookkeeping software for real estate agents. Before we look at the program, we're just going to take a look at the website, and you can see here at the pro-ledgers.com website there's various products, and we're going to look at the agent ledger page, which is what we're on now. And when you scroll down, you're going to see that there's 4 programs available for agents. There's the Canadian and the US versions, left and right, and in those we have both basic and expanded. Now, for most agents, the basic version will work just fine. It'll track all your business and personal expenses. And with the expanded version, the extra benefit would be that you could track individual properties or customers or projects and create individual income and expense statements for each, plus have an overall combined, whereas the basic produces one income and expense statement overall, one for personal, one for business, and overall. So that's the basic. Otherwise, the 2 programs are identical. You're also going to notice that there's a video, free trial, and a buy now link under each ledger. Free trials are 30 days. They're fully functional, and anytime during the free trial, you can choose to make your purchase and just continue working with the data on your free trial, so nothing will be lost. Also, you're going to notice on this page there's a free budgeting spreadsheet for real estate agents. So in any case, make your way over there and grab that. It's a real convenient tool for creating a budget very quickly, and it even utilizes all the different broker splits and so on, so it calculates it out very nicely for you. Scrolling up a little further, you can see that there's free apps for both phones and tablets. You can import data from online bank accounts, and the software works with both a Mac and PC, and you can even sync the software between computers. And that's all explained in the FAQ page with other short instructional videos. The other thing that's nice about the program is there's never any ongoing fees, and you can simply buy it once and use it forever. All right, let's look at the program. When you open the program up, you're going to notice that there's 3 options: open file, new file, and current file. So because we're here for the very first time, we're going to use the new file option to create a brand new bookkeeping file. This is the Canadian version. So in this case, you're going to see the option to track 1 or 2 taxes. And typically, in Canada, there's the 1 tax to track, either the HST or GST. And as we're charging that on our commissions and have to track it and remit it to the government. So anyway, we're going to, with the US version, there won't be any taxes showing here because the US version does not include taxes. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to choose the real estate agent file. It'll set up a chart of accounts, and basically you're ready to go. On the right side, there's a couple of actually they're not ads, they're more like tips for adding value to the program with video clicks here. You can turn that off just like that. All right, so here's your screen, and at the top we have our command buttons, and then we have filter buttons and a few extra functions on the second row that we're gonna go over that together. Before we get too far, let's just try making a new entry, or our first entry. And to make entries, you use that Enter Record button. It's green and it's right there. But you notice the first time we tried to use it, it says, oh, please save the file before entering a record. So that means that our file is just a default name. We have to save it. And you can give it any name that you want. And you can save it anywhere on your computer that you would like. Just remember where you put it. And if you put it in Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive, then it'll automatically sync to the cloud, and you can even use the free apps very easily to do your bookkeeping, because your apps, as you're going to find out, are going to be using your own Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive account. And there's a video on that in the app section of the website. Okay, so we've saved the file. And now we can make record entries. So basically, you just follow the prompts. You can enter in the date and just pick a date. And you can also pick the account. So if we have a Visa transaction, and this is the expanded version. So normally you would just see these top 3 options: agent, split, and personal. But because it's expanded, it allows you to track on other projects or property names here. So we're just going to ignore these 2 bottom items and just work with the top 3. Assuming that this will be just like the basic version. Anyway, let's say it's an agent item. and it's going to be accounting and legal fees, and you can put it into the description, ABC accounting, put in a vendor name or an invoice number, and you put in the amount. And if there's taxes and you're tracking those, you can choose your tax here or no tax, and you can manually edit the tax if you like. If there's a receipt and you want to attach it to the bookkeeping entry, you can browse for it and attach it. And once you're done, choose submit. Okay, let's take a look at the entry. There it is. And if you want to just edit the entry, double click on that. And if you want to make this entry repeating, let's say it'll happen twice a year or every month, you can just simply click on it and choose all the different dates that the entry should reappear. And you can see the dates are starting to populate every time I click on a new date. So this really works well when you have a, let's say a monthly bank fee or a utility bill or a cell phone bill. You can set it up so it's repeated. And then when you save it, it's automatically populates that same entry on all the different dates. So it's a real time saver in that case. Anyway, making another entry. So you can choose the date. Let's say this time we're going to have some income, and you can choose either personal or agent, and the split we'll talk about in a minute. So let's say it's agent income, it's commission income, and it's $1,200, and we're not going to bother with tax. And let's say it's 123 Smith Street, and we're going to submit that. Now we've got our entry done. Now you just see these three buttons. We're on the record screen. We can flip to the report screen and see the reports that it's producing. On the left side there's commission and income and some expenses and a net income figure down there. And on the right side is a business only statement that shows just the business categories, and below all that there's a little tax summary if you're in Canada, and there's also a payment summary in terms of how much was spent using each different account. Okay, so let's go back to the main screen. One more entry, and this time we're going to show you how to use the split. Now some expenses may be a split between the agent and the personal. So for example, let's say you have an entertainment expense. You take a client out to a restaurant. You might be able to only expense 50% of that meal. So in that case, you would use split. And other examples might be an automotive expense if you're using the prorated version of writing off expenses, or maybe home office expense and that sort of thing. But anyway, let's say this is an entertainment expense. And then we're going to say dinner with John Doe. And let's say the amount is $100, and let's submit that. So when we go over to the report and you look at that entertainment expense, you see what happened. It was $100, and 50% of it went to business and 50% went to personal. And on the business only statement, only $50 showed up on the business statement. And that's how that works. Now keep in mind, you can go to the graph and you can check or uncheck these various options on the graph and show it as a column or a line. And you can also use all these filter buttons to produce all kinds of reports. So if you want to just see a December report, or you want to see the fourth quarter, it automatically, when you have that filter turned on, it automatically updates the numeric reports and the graphs and also the records. So here, if I went to December, you could see it just shows me the December entries. There's another way to sort these records and produce reports, is you can use the month filter, the account filter, so you can see just the Visa transactions, for example, or you can look at the different types of classes, just agent versus personal or split entries. And you can do these in combination as well. And if I want to see all the commission income I had for all the months or just in December, I can make these reports any way I want just by using these filters. Just be careful when you're making entries that if you have a filter turned on and you make an entry, you may not see the entry show up if it's not matching the filter. So for example, if you have the December filter turned on and you're making an entry for November, you may not see that entry. So just make sure that you've maybe turned the filters off or have it set appropriately for your entry. Okay, and that's how you would produce reports. Now there's one more thing. There's a magnifying glass here, and you can turn that on to display the search bar. And we can also do searches and reports by any term or identifier in the description field. So if you use your description field wisely, you could maybe generate a report for a certain vendor. So for example, ABC Accounting. So if I wanted to see how much did I spend with ABC Accounting, even type ABC in there, a partial match. It'll filter out by that vendor, and you'll be able to see it on a report and on a graph. And the same with any property. If you are tracking expenses for a particular property listing, or you want to see how much you've expensed or made on that property transaction, you can just use the description field and search, and it'll produce that report any way you like. So just as long is really endless as long as you use your description field wisely to your advantage to later produce reports. And besides that, you can import data from your online bank account. So you can do hundreds of transactions in minutes using this import feature. So there's videos on that. You can export to the records or the reports to a spreadsheet or PDF file. You can print reports and records as a printout. And just remember always to save your work. And here's the other thing. Right beside the file name, you're going to see a place you can close the file. And next to that, you can see you can tag this file as your current file. Now that means next time you open the program, you can choose the current file option in the opening screen, and you don't have to navigate to find this file. As long as you don't rename it or move it, it'll just go there directly and save you a little bit of time just to get to the file every time. This is a sync button, and this is only to be used, be careful with this, because basically what sync does, it reloads the file. So if you're out and about with your app on your phone and you're making bookkeeping entries and you haven't closed this file on your computer, well, before you start making entries here, you want to update it. So just recycle, just reopen that file with that. But be careful, because if you make entries, you make sure you save the entries and do not use recycle or sync in that case, because if the entries aren't saved and you reload the file, you're going to lose those entries. So just be sure that you normally just use save, and the odd time when you have multiple things going on to the same file, just to sync it or just close the program and reopen it would be the same thing. And finally, you can make notes on the file. So if you have questions and notations to make throughout the year, you can just enter those there. And you also have a little question mark at the end for help. And you can click on that and you'll see all kinds of little videos on, you can record receivables and payables and little shortcuts and things along the way, and how to create brand new files each year. Those are all in the FAQ page. And there's a little video on all these different functions. So hopefully you found that helpful, and thanks for tuning in.